there was night one, the first night of the RNC. A few very cool things happened today with RFK Jr. and President Donald J. Trump that I'm still kind of baffled by, fascinated with. Before I get to that, go through a little bit of this here, these clips. Turn this around. So I think these are released by Reuters or AP News. And there's 16 clips here that they have. Photos. President Trump of what happens as it happened. Went down to the ground on his own before the Secret Service could get there. By the time they get there, well, Trump's already paid their bills. They help him get back up. Presumably making sure he's okay. I hope. Checking him, seeing where he's hurt. It's a very sad moment in our history. There it is. One of the main photos to fight on. You see, they're trying to protect him, but can only do so much at this point. And there he goes, off the stage. You can't even see the little Secret Service lady who's behind all these ones. At least there's one there, but all you want is the best and brightest. That's it. He survived. And there's the little one. The little Secret Service lady. Probably going to have some questions to answer. They all will with the feds. And I'm sure they will all be released. It'll all be fine. There will be no accountability, I'm sure, with the federal investigation, with the FBI investigation. So there is that. Okay. Well, I do want to show on X, and then there's nothing new on, well, there's one thing that is new on the Kennedy website, but nothing about this meeting that happened. So I do want to cover those things. There was a meeting that happened. Let me go and find that. 2 articles, one from Newsweek. Then I was able to find one from the New York Times. Let me see if I can share this tab here. So read this. Robert F. Kennedy meets with Trump at the RNC. So obviously this is going to fuel a lot of speculation. And one of the things that I immediately thought was, oh, wouldn't that be cool if Kennedy speaks at the RNC? I won't hold my breath on that. The political rivals met just hours before Republicans formally named Donald J. Trump their presidential nominee, and as Mr. Kennedy was set to receive Secret Service protection in the wake of the assassination attempt on Mr. Trump. The independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. met with former President Donald J. Trump on Monday in Milwaukee, a remarkable encounter in the hours before Mr. Trump officially became the Republican nominee. The Kennedy campaign confirmed the meeting after early reports of the encounter stirred speculation that Mr. Kennedy was planning to drop out of the race and possibly endorse Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Kennedy met with President Trump today to discuss national unity, and he hopes to meet with the leaders of the Democratic Party as well, said Stephanie Spear, the spokeswoman for the Kennedy campaign. And no, he is not dropping out of the race, she added. He is the only pro-environment, pro-choice, anti-war candidate who beats Donald Trump in head-to-head polls. The meeting came less than 2 days after a failed assassination attempt on Mr. Trump at a Pennsylvania rally, an event that recalled the 1968 killing of Mr. Kennedy's father, Robert F. Kennedy, when he was campaigning for the Democratic presidential nomination. And it comes as Mr. Kennedy is now set, after months of failed efforts, to receive Secret Service protection On Monday, Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, said at a White House briefing, in light of this weekend's event, the president has directed me to work with the Secret Service to provide protection to Robert Kennedy Jr. Earlier Monday, Mr. Trump had posted on Truth Social that Mr. Kennedy should receive protection. Let me see. Oh, I should have that one queued up. How dare I do that before we get into anything else? This definitely spurred up a lot of speculation. Let's log in here, go to some of the things with Trump. Here he is coming in. We'll definitely get to that with the ear. But let me just read this. This is Donald J. Trump today posted this. President Donald J. Trump, in light of what's going on in the world today, I believe it is imperative that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. receive Secret Service protection immediately. Given the history of the Kennedy family, this is obviously the right thing to do. Going back to Kennedy, as this is what he said today about the meeting with President Trump. And he says, lots of rumors going around about my meeting this morning with President Trump. Our main topic was national unity. I hope to meet with Democratic leaders about that as well. No, I am not dropping out of the race. He also said, thank you to President Biden for granting me Secret Service protection, and I am so grateful to Gavin DeBecker and associates for keeping me safe the last 15 months of my presidential campaign. So this makes me a little nervous. That in light of everything that happened with the Secret Service, now it's kind of like, do we want the Secret Service? Are they the best people to guard Kennedy? So I hope Kennedy does continue on in some capacity, in some places, with his own personal security, who can work with the Secret Service, who is now going to be even more stretched than what they already were. So if we thought that the Secret Service was already stretched way too thin, so thin that they didn't have enough people to help with Donald J. Trump because they wanted to make sure that Joe Biden's wife had more Secret Service protection, since she happened to be coincidentally speaking somewhere else that same day, same time, same bat channel. Here's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said all before that. This is a response to what Donald Trump posted on Truth Social. He said, it is a hopeful sign for our country when a political opponent calls for one's protection. Maybe our country can unite after all. What's sad is that President Trump is the one who called for it, not Joe Biden. And it's also sad of what happened, what had to happen in order to finally get RFK Jr. the Secret Service protection that he should have gotten a long time ago. I did like this too, that Kennedy was saying beautiful words from Mrs. Trump, Trump's wife, who was not at the RNC today, was not sitting by her husband once again. Let all Americans remember that their opponents are full, precious human beings. So there we go. And then he kind of quotes some of her speech there too, but I don't know. Something weird still going on between President Trump and his wife. That's all I can say. Still feel like there's something strange going on there. They're just not together. She's not supporting him. She's not with him publicly. So that just bothers me a little bit. Kennedy did say before, I think when this happened on the day, now is the time for every American who loves our country to step back from the division, renounce all violence, and unite in prayer for President Trump and his family. Kennedy then went on to do 3 speeches, one here with News Nation. He did one with Newsmax, and then he also did one with Sean Hannity. So those 3 interviews, hope everybody gets the chance, has the time to watch them. They are very much worth it. So aside from the New York Times article, there's a Newsweek article that kind of covers some of the same things that we were saying. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gets new Secret Service protection. We also have this one from MSN. What did Robert F. Kennedy Jr. say about the meeting? Let's see if there's anything new or if it's just the same thing. So independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy met with him. Okay. Just hours before, nothing new there. And that's all that we have heard. They haven't really given anything new. So the New York Times article pretty much covers what we need to know about this meeting, this secret meeting between Kennedy and Trump, which I thought was fascinating because it's always, to me, it's always fascinating to have these two guys in the same room or talking about them in the same conversation, which is the essence of the book that I'm currently writing here. This does add a whole new layer to the book that was not intended, but not that unexpected. It really was not that unexpected. But guess who else was at the RNC convention today? I'll give you one hint.
At some point we may find out what happened on Saturday. A guy with a rifle wound up on a building, that close with a ladder, and all these people saw it, and the Secret Service are like, what is that? It's not crazy to think that there was something that, at some point we may find out what happened on Saturday. A guy with a rifle wound up on a building, that close with a ladder, and all these people saw it, and the Secret Service are like, what is that? It's not crazy to think that there was something there. It was an effort to kill Trump. It wasn't just a lone gunman.
Hi, I'm Virginia.
Tucker Carlson, nice to meet
you.
you.
To meet you in
Thank
person.
you.
Thanks for taking some time to ask
I love it.
questions.
Of course.
Well, big news today. We learned that J.D. Vance is the pick for vice president.
Yes.
Did Trump make the right choice?
Well, he absolutely made the right choice. And I think, I love J.D. Vance. I know him pretty well personally, and I think he's an outstanding person. He's really smart, but he puts his intelligence to good use, which is to say the pursuit of wisdom. I mean, J.D. Vance is one of the only politicians I've ever met. Well, he hasn't been a politician for very long, but who thinks about what's the right choice? What's the moral choice? What's the best choice for the country? So yeah, I'm thrilled. But I would also say that Trump didn't choose a long list of truly destructive people who hate what Trump believes, and who, for reasons that they would have to explain, wanted to serve them anyway. What is that? If you didn't agree with somebody, you probably wouldn't want to be their running mate, right? Mm-hmm. But if you want to be their running mate anyway, that would suggest what? Well, A, that you were incredibly dishonest, and B, that you're probably working to subvert them. And there was, I'm not privy to Trump's mind, but I did watch the process closely, and there were an awful lot of people who I personally consider loathsome, but even if I didn't consider them loathsome, I know for a fact dislike what Donald Trump believes, and they wanted to serve with him. And there was a lot of pressure brought to bear on the president to choose them, and he didn't. And so I consider his choice an act of courage. I'm grateful for it. I think it says something really good about where this administration will go. I'm saying confidently that he'll be the president. He deserves to be. I think he will be. And so I find it thrilling.
Tucker, the past 24 hours has been wild, the amount of news that has come out. How did the attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump change this election?
Well, Trump won when that happened because he displayed physical courage. And, if you live in a society where people are literally dating by remote, virtually, and working virtually, you can kind of lose touch with the physical reality of life. But the unchanging truth is that leadership requires courage, and not just abstract courage, moral courage, but physical courage. Someone starts shooting a rifle. Are you going to wet yourself and start crying and run away? Or are you going to stand up and look at your people and raise your fist and say, fight? And very few people are capable of doing that. And he is. And therefore he wins, because that supersedes all this nonsense that we talk ourselves into believing is important. No, the guy got shot in the face. He stood up with blood streaming down the side of his head, blood on his hands, and said, fight. Totally defiant. That's an act of undeniable courage that was not staged. You couldn't stage that. And that man is the leader, and he wins. And by the way, notice what happens to everyone in the crowd. When a leader is strong, his people are calm. His courage gives them heart. That's true for a father, and it's true for a president. So yeah, he just won, and he deserves to win. That was the ultimate test.
You had predicted about a year ago that an assassination attempt on Trump was likely. How did we get here?
Well, we got here, disaster has many authors. So We got here for a bunch of different reasons. I think I say this as someone who's been in the media my whole life, 33 years, an extraordinary amount of recklessness and dishonesty in the American news media, which is loathsome. The legacy media, the big companies that I spent my life working for, have really dedicated themselves to lying in a very cruel and vicious way. People like Joe Scarborough did a lot, I think, to make assassination attempts like that possible. They're comfortable with violence. Scarborough especially is comfortable with violence, but a lot of them are, I think. And so they should be ashamed they're not, but they should be. But I think more broadly, there's a lot going on that is unseen. There's a lot of evil all of a sudden in this country. I never noticed it before. I'm not saying it wasn't here, but in the 55 years I've been here, I haven't seen it like I've seen it in the last year. People really being vicious, people espousing cruelty and killing, people telling you that abortion for its own sake or war for its own sake is a good thing. Like, what is that? That's evil. So there's a lot of that. And this is, I would say, a manifestation of it.
Yeah. You are seen as very controversial by the leftist media.
Oh, you're so controversial. Oh, you're so controversial.
Did the assassination attempt on Trump make you regret anything that you've said?
Well, I regret all kinds of things. I endorsed the Iraq War. I mean, talk about living in shame. Yeah, I mean, I regret a lot of things I've said. And all I want to do is apologize for those things and to say I was wrong, which I don't enjoy saying I was wrong or apologizing, but it's the only way forward. So yeah, I regret all kinds of things I've said. But I'm not, controversial. That's like one of those words. When I was an editor, I banned that from my newsroom. It doesn't mean anything. What it means is I don't like you. In point of fact, I think I'm the most moderate person I know. My parents got divorced. I hate change. I want everything to stay exactly the same. That's the opposite of radical. I'm the opposite of radical. I like the status quo. I go to bed at 10 o'clock with my wife and 3 dogs. Like that's, I'm not into anything radical at all. I'm the least radical person I've ever met. In fact, I'm not radical enough. So no, if I'm a radical, I'm not the one getting rid of Easter and replacing with Tranny Day. You know what I mean? Like the person replacing Easter with Tranny Day is calling me radical. Okay.
You're a conservative for a reason. In other words, you want to conserve things.
Well, I'm just temperamentally that way. I mean, I like the country I grew up in a lot. I loved it. I love it still, but I'm very worried about it now, but I loved it. If I could press a button and make it 1985 again with no internet and, no threat of AI and all the rest, I mean, I would do that. I can't do that, of course. That's a middle-aged man's dream, but I'm only saying that as kind of pathetic even to say that, but it's true. But just to show that, if you think I'm radical, you don't know what the word means.
Going back about 5 days, most of the conversation in the news was, of course, about President Joe Biden and his cognitive ability to serve another 4 years. Would a Harris administration be any different than a Biden administration?
Well, I don't know. I have fewer friends in the Democratic Party than I once had, not surprisingly. So, I'm not privy to much inside information, but my strong sense is they've given up. Trump is going to be president. They know that at this point, it would just be too messy to stop that. Stealing the election once again, like they did in 2020, is just too hard. Everyone's expecting it. I think it would not be worth it, actually. At some point we may find out what happened on Saturday. A guy with a rifle wound up on a building, that close with a ladder, and all these people saw it, and the Secret Service are like, what is that? It's not crazy to think that there was something there. It was an effort to kill Trump. It wasn't just a lone gunman who was killed, that it was something else. But I don't think going forward, look, I think everyone has kind of accepted the fact that Trump's going to win, and it would be too hard to stop him from winning. This is just my gut as of today. And Kamala Harris, that's not going to work. What they really want to do is subvert Trump with a running mate who agrees with the Democrats and on the big issues, on the economy and foreign policy. And there are a whole bunch of those. And donors tried to force them in the last 48 hours. They tried really, really hard. You can't beat Trump. Clearly, you shoot him in the face and he gets more popular. I mean, really? So what we need to do is just rot it from within with some running mate who, let's make Nikki Haley the running mate or something like that. And they failed. So I'm pretty hopeful.
What's your message going to be here at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee when you speak on the main stage?
Oh gosh, well, I've never written a speech. I've given a lot of speeches, over 1,000, and I've never written one, and so I'm not going to start this week. But my feeling about speeches is always the same, which is, it's just like reporting a story. It's you pay super close attention, you talk to as many people as you can, you listen carefully, you try to figure out what's going on, and then you say a prayer and start talking. So that's my plan.
You have a speaking tour coming up this fall, starting in September. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, we're going across the country. I live in a beautiful place, and I hate to leave, so I make myself. But we're doing 15 or 16, I think, dates across the country for a month, coast to coast. And the inspiration for that was frustration with Facebook and other, media monopolies that were censoring me. And I thought, well, the one thing you can't censor is a live event. And so let's just get big venues, and tell the truth. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'm psyched.
Awesome. Tucker Carlson, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Very cool. Well, there is the man, the Tuck. So there is maybe just one
study showing high
that I do want to play. I don't know how much I really want to focus on this shooter. We're hearing some stuff. I don't feel like we're hearing a lot. What do we know at this point? I guess it's worth looking into. But I'm more interested in what Kennedy and Trump are saying and doing. So instead of that, I'm going to go ahead and play this. 4 minutes.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again. Just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. But the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA! We are here tonight with one purpose, and that is to elect Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States. He is here tonight to show his courage, his defiance against somebody who tried to kill him. You will not take this man down. He has the courage, the strength, and he will be the next president of the United States. From the lake of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th President of the United States and soon to be the 47th President of the United States, please welcome Donald J. Trump. An American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her till today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love you, man. God bless the USA. Mr. President.
So I'm sure, like many of you, kind of concerned about the if there's any hearing loss, if he's going to suffer any type of hearing loss. I am a little concerned about that, but other than that, he looks great. He looks to be in good shape, in good health, and that's all that we can really ask for. So I'm very happy to see that. Very happy to hear that. I got this new mic. I don't think it's working out very well. I don't really like it that much. Let's see what it's like when I turn everything on. Yeah, I'm not feeling this mic. Or this camera, sorry. This camera is just not doing it for me. All right, well, I tried. I tried. I may go back to the old camera. Looks like that one worked out a little bit better. Okay, that may be all I have. We gotta hear this, the inside job question. So, Mayorkas, there's 3 good clips that I have here that I just posted, just put up right now. So this is the inside job question. Let's see, give this a listen. Oh, we got some 2K. Let's do
A
it.
few House Republicans have suggested that this was an inside job, that this administration or the Secret Service wanted Donald Trump to get shot. There are conspiracy theories proliferating online. How do you feel? How does the rank and file feel when they hear that?
So let me just say this. First of all, that is preposterous, and it is also dangerous to propagate rumors that are so unequivocally false and provocative. And as the president so powerfully said to the entire nation, we have to tamp down the rhetoric in this country. The rhetoric itself creates a threat environment.
It's their rhetoric, though. That is the crazy thing. They want us to tamp down the rhetoric, but they're the ones that started it. They should be speaking directly to those people who have been calling for violence against President Trump. Now they want to act like it's on both sides. It's not both sides. It's not MAGA. MAGA is not the problem. It just is not. You cannot compare what these anti-Trumpers have been saying and then this happens. It's completely different from anything that President Trump has ever said and will continue to say. So the rhetoric is that they wanted to put a bullseye on Trump. The rhetoric is that Trump was this evil man who will ruin our country. That is the rhetoric. And that they should go and confront people and confront Trump supporters. And they've been saying this for years, as if this is all news to them of what happened. This is not the first time an assassination attempt has happened on President Trump's life. This person just got the closest. That's it. And the lone gunman theory, ain't buying it. Never gonna buy it. Sell that stuff to somebody else, because I am not buying that. These guys are hard to listen to. It's just like I'm back in Bush country all over again with these guys. And Barack Obama just followed in everything Bush did. He piggybacked off of George Bush. And Hillary Clinton was going to do the same thing. And then thankfully, we got Trump in 2016, 2017.
Environment that really is quite dynamic and evolving.
They've created the environment. They created the hostile environment. The anti-Trump environment was created by them, and it was encouraged and endorsed. And the lies that they told about MAGA, people who just want to make America great again and vote for the greatest president on God's green earth, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Secretary. Is the Secret Service stretched too thin?
The Secret Service in times like this calls upon other resources and capabilities to handle a campaign of this magnitude.
And see, this may be another reason why. I mean, if the Secret Service had any excuse, had any reason as to why they would not give Kennedy Secret Service protection, it's this very reason here, because they were stretched too thin. They did not have the resources to do it. And that's a problem, because they can and they should and they will have it. All of the other past presidents still have Secret Service protection. We're not just talking about only Trump has it and his family has it and President Biden and Biden's family has it. All the past presidents have it. So possibly all of their families have it too. And so to add Kennedy to that, and look at how big his family is, so if they want a logical reason why they wouldn't give Kennedy Secret Service protection, is because they did not have the manpower, the resources for it. They did not have the able bodies. And that's a problem. That's a problem, because we need to figure out what we can do to change that. Letting illegals into this country is not going to help that. It's not going to change that. It's not going to do anything positive for this nation. This DEI BS is going to ruin this nation. And that's what they want. They do not want to make America great again. That's the problem. That is the problem with Joe Biden. And that is the problem with people like him. They want something else. They want socialism. They want anarchy. They want radicalism. They do not want a democratic republic. They just don't. And you can see it by their actions. You will know them. So listen to this douchebag a little bit more.
This has been the case each and every presidential campaign. We draw upon resources not only across the federal government, but with state and local law enforcement. And I do intend to speak with members of the Hill with respect to the resources that we need. The United States Secret Service, we, including the FBI and our other partners across the federal government, take the threats very seriously and adjust security measures as warranted. Maintaining the safety and security of the president, the former president, and their campaign events is one of our most vital priorities. In light of this weekend's events, the president has directed me to work with the Secret Service to provide protection to Robert Kennedy Jr. Both prior to and after the events of this past weekend, the Secret Service enhanced former President Trump's protection based on the evolving nature of threats to the former president and his imminent shift from presumptive nominee to nominee. This includes enhancements related to securing the former president during the Republican National Convention this week. I cannot discuss specifics of the protection or the enhancements made, as they involve sensitive tactics and procedures. I can say, however, that personnel
I just can't play any more of that. It's so depressing. Like all of this stuff, everything that happened, I don't want to hear it. I'd rather hear some feedback about the. I don't even have it. Okay. Okay, I'm cutting here. Share this instead. You know there's going to be some good stuff here. Videos. Here's Eric Trump. This is going to be good.
Isn't it time to upgrade your...
After these bloody commercials.
Yep, buy 2.9.
Joining me now, Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization. Eric, this is the first time you're sitting down for an on-camera interview since your dad was shot. Tell me how you and your family are feeling tonight, given what almost happened, and yet the unity in this room tonight, at this convention, is something I haven't seen in my lifetime, really since Reagan.
Well, I think the duality of the world. Here I am, effectively casting the deciding vote that puts my father as Republican nominee for president of the United States 1 minute, and then 2 days ago I was sitting with my wife and my 2 young children on a couch when you hear gunshots rain out, and he gets up with blood on his hands and on his face, and you think you might have lost him forever. And I'll have to say, he is the strongest person I've ever met. He is unbelievable. He was unrelenting. We are not changing a second of the RNC. I don't care if half my ear was blown off. I don't care. We're moving forward. We're going to make America great again. And Laura, they've put him through hell. I mean, since when he went down that escalator, they've tried to impeach him. They've gone after us. They've gone after me. I'm probably the most subpoenaed person in the history of this country.
St. Jude, you're even St. Jude work.
They have done everything to try and strip him of his wealth and of his fame. They've tried to break up our family. They've done everything possible to try and get him and kill him. And they literally tried to kill him this week. And despite that, he's undeterred. He's unrelenting. He loves this country. He's the one billionaire who does not need to be doing this. His life would be exponentially better if he wasn't. But he wants to make America great again. And I'm so proud of him. I've never had more respect for a person in my life. And, it's funny. I was there with Don and Tiffany and everybody else. We were in that exact same position in 2016, and we continue to fight on that stage with him every single day. And I will for the rest of my life.
Well, I got teared up and I started crying when I heard the news. I was in the car and the radio was on, and I was listening, and it was live. When I heard that stop, and I said to my son, I think President Trump was shot, and I was bawling.
Yeah.
What was your reaction before you knew that he was okay?
I've done a lot of shooting in my life. It's kind of my hobby, and I know very, very well. And I heard those gunshots, and I knew it was bad. And obviously, when he would grab the side of his face, it's you don't get those. You don't get slight grazes to the ear. I mean, that is divine intervention. That he was not mortally wounded. He turned his head right at the last second, and I mean, my heart sank, and my kid's heart sank, and Laura's heart sank, and we couldn't believe it. I mean, we were speechless. And as they rushed him into the car, and obviously there's chaos after that. You can't get in touch with anybody for a little while, and he finally called me from the hospital right as he was going in, right as he was going to get a CAT scan, and he called me, and he was actually incredibly calm and made a couple little jokes, and I knew he was back. I knew he was the dad I know so well. But your heart drops. It should never have happened. I have to say, the Secret Service agents on that stage, who were incredible. The girl in the picture, she was with me for 3 years. She's unbelievable. What incredible people. And make no mistake, they would have taken a bullet for him all day long. Now, no one should have gotten on that roof, and they'll figure out what exactly happened there. But I have to say that they're some of the most dedicated people you'll ever meet. Those agents on that stage, and the people, just the agents in general in the Secret Service, are some of the most incredible people you'll ever meet.
And I know how much they like your dad and respect him.
Yeah.
Tell me about him now in this moment. I know you spent a lot of time with him this afternoon.
Yeah.
I spoke with him yesterday. How has this changed him or his thinking, not about policy, but about this moment?
Listen, I think when you have a bullet whiz, millimeters away from your brain, I think it changes your perspective on life. And, maybe I can tell you he's never been more determined.
Did he ever consider dropping out after that moment?
The exact opposite. When he got off the floor, he has blood on his face, and he starts pumping his fists in the air, saying, "Fight, fight, fight." Laura, it's so funny. Over the years, it's Donald Trump is going to drop out. I hear this from all the political pundits, and I go, "Please make me a bet. I'll bet any odds."
I did say that in 2015, and he still hasn't. He doesn't let me live that down. I said it for like 5 seconds. He's like, "You said what?" And I would laugh. I'm like, "Okay, I was wrong about that."
He has more fight. He has more determination. He's just a remarkable human being, and he wants to save this republic. He wants to save our country. He wants to see the best for our nation. He's a remarkable person. I mean, anybody else, any other billionaire friend he had, they would have been out of the race in 3 seconds. They would have made it so uncomfortable for them that they would have bowed out in a second. And despite that, he continues to fight.
And what about J.D. Vance as a pick, who I just adore, his views, his family, his life story. How do the two of them, they're very different people, different personalities. How do they mix?
Yeah, but they're both anti-rhino. And that's what the party needs.
We're going to go to the national anthem really quickly, Eric. We're going to dip in briefly. We're going to stay with Eric Trump. And I don't know if we're going to a commercial break or... No, we're going. Oh, good. I don't have to go to a commercial break. Eric, at this time in America's history where things have been so polarized and so divided, what might we expect to hear from your father on Thursday night? He told me it was going to be a rip-roaring speech. It's like, you would have loved it. And he said, but we're gonna change it. What can we expect?
He did. and I've heard some of it, and it's amazing. It's incredibly inspirational, and that's what this country needs right now. We've got to stop. Everybody needs to stop. I was down on the floor before, and I got attacked by MSDNC, as we call them, and I go, you guys couldn't wait 24 hours. Please, just cool it off a little bit. Everybody needs to relax, and this room, as you can see out here, it's full of love. I mean, the patriotism, the American flags, the cowboy hats. This is the best of America, and we should celebrate this.
Why does the left hate? They don't really like cowboy hats, and some of them get triggered by the American flag. People are just happy.
It's a shame. We need to bring back the American flag. It's really interesting. Right after 9/11, everybody flew the American flag. Everybody. And it didn't matter party affiliation. It was patriotic. And we've seen a demise of that. And it's very, very sad. We have to bring that back. We live in the greatest country on earth. We've got the best country on earth. We can achieve more than anybody on earth. And that's what my father wants to do. That's what my father fights for every single day. And it infuriates him when people don't fight for this nation. We are the best. We should be number one at absolutely everything we do. And we can be. We have the best people. We have the best resources. We have the best nation. We have the best system.
To hear some of the rhetoric today, after everything the nation has seen in the last 72 hours, I mean, that Vance is a threat to NATO. He's a threat to Ukraine. He's a threat to every migrant. I mean, it was so over the top. And Van Jones at some points praised your dad for the criminal justice reform and, had to give him props. But it's almost like it's a reflexive response from them when something good is happening on the other side.
Because the mainstream media has been lobbyists for the Democratic Party for years and years and years. I mean, it's a threat to NATO. Isn't that really interesting? My father's one president who didn't get into a war. In fact, he got us out of all wars. It's a threat to immigration. What do you mean? I mean, our border and the porousness of our border is causing 300,000 kids to die of fentanyl overdoses every single year. I mean, my father wants to fix those problems. He wants to secure America. He wants to make us strong. He believes in family. He believes in God. He believes in our Constitution. How can you argue against that? It doesn't make sense.
I want to read from Biden's campaign spokesman, Jen O'Malley, put out a statement reading in part, Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate because Vance will do what Mike Pence wouldn't do on January 6th, bend over backwards to enable Trump and his extreme MAGA agenda, even if it means breaking the law and no matter the harm to the American people. Eric, no matter the harm to the American people, when Donald Trump was almost killed on Saturday.
Think that they're going back to They're going back to January, yet he's the guy that had a bullet whiz by his ear, right? Take off part of his ear, and yet they're going back to January 6th.
That's sad. Yeah, that's sad. That's really sad. There is something here. I don't know if this is gonna get me kicked off. I don't know. This may kill this stream if I play this, but I'm gonna try it. This is hilarious. Ooh, quality is terrible.
All right, nice little view there.
Maybe if I show me here in the corner.
Everyone.
Try this.
It's great being in Milwaukee. Laverne in the streets and Shirley in the sheets. So over the weekend, President Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt. Democrats are so sympathetic, they've agreed only to yell Hitler into his good ear. Meanwhile, Trump got condolences from Republicans, Democrats, and Evander Holyfield. Former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki is asking Republicans to change their rhetoric and tone after the Trump shooting, insisting they avoid inflammatory statements like, ow, and I've been hit. After bullets almost killed Donald Trump, he actually wanted to stop to pick up his shoes. Hell, Biden doesn't worry about his pants when he's not shot. Yeah! All right.
This guy's funny.
In his speech last night, Biden said the nation needs to lower the temperature in our politics. Okay, if there's anyone who knows how to lower the temperature, it's the guy who doesn't have one. Meanwhile, more than a few Democrats have blamed Trump for his own assassination attempt. Good to know. It's like blaming Lincoln for ruining the play. In a response to the Trump assassination attempt, MSNBC canceled today's episode of Morning Joe.
This is hilarious.
I know. Wait. It's a terrible idea. Canceling Morning Joe in response to an assassination attempt, that only will encourage more assassination attempts. Hell, I'd shoot myself to cancel Joy Reid. When she had her hair. And Joe Biden finally granted Secret Service protection to RFK Jr. Yeah, they got him a bulletproof convertible. Too soon? Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. That was Joe Biden, word for word. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were a real go-getter, someone who cared about this country, and I knew there was a genuine threat to America, a threat to my freedom, I would do everything possible to stop that threat. Hell, I might even kill it, especially if the commander-in-chief told me so, and I was some lonely weirdo looking for an easy pass to infamy. But that's Joe Biden saying it. And he said a lot of things, including that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. If his uncle was anything like Joe, at least they were eating their vegetables. But then yesterday, Joe said he was sincerely grateful that Trump is doing well and recovering. How can that be? How can you be sincerely grateful that a person who is a threat to our country is doing well? After the attempted assassination of Hitler, did America send him a get well mein Führer card? So could it be Joe was lying about Trump's evilness? Could it be that they were all lying? And it's a lie said over and over again that led to an attempted assassination? But at least some people aren't as two-faced as Joe. Where's Joy Reid, Keith Olbermann, Madonna, the opinionators?
Okay, I'm stopping it there just because, yeah, I want to be careful about that. It's not on the Fox News yet, so, but this is. 3, 2, 1, boom.
His alert, NBC News has just released a clip from Lester Holt's interview with President Biden. Let's listen to that.
Let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him.
But will the media and Democrats listen to the president when he calls to lower the temperature? While the former president was still bleeding from a bullet wound to his head, some in the press were quickly trying to blame Trump for getting shot.
Of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words.
He is recovering from these injuries now. This was a traumatic event, no doubt, for him. But I did notice there was no call for lowering the temperature, condemning all political violence, and really trying to signal to his supporters as well not to retaliate or to have any kind of escalation.
Because he knows that his supporters are not going to do that. We're not violent people. MAGA is not violence. It's not violent people. It's a lot of Christians who know better. Unlike these Biden thugs, unlike these weirdos who all think that we need to get rid of Trump, who don't understand the difference between a man and a woman, who don't understand what the Bible is. They're just weirdos. But it's a big, big difference. If anything, Trump should be calling those people out. I'm surprised he didn't go further and say, hey, Biden, you gotta calm this rhetoric down, your rhetoric, because what all you've been doing is calling for violence. And the bloodbath and all of that stuff is going to be orchestrated by these same violent socialists, communists, the Antifa, the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, and these loonies, these crazy people, and who are all being orchestrated, whether they realize it or not, by the greatest evil ever, which is the devil, the ruler of this world. That is the battle we are in. That is the real battle that we face. They don't understand it. I get it. They don't believe in God. They want nothing to do with God. But one day, all that is going to change. And when they wake up and they realize what God is and who God is, and they realize that salvation is through Jesus Christ, that's when you change. And it's hard to take back what you said. Christians will forgive you. Good people will forgive you, even if they're not Christians too. But it's very difficult, and we need to be careful. And that's what Trump is talking about. The violent rhetoric is not on the MAGA side. It never was. It never will be. They're not violent people. That's it.
Escalation here.
Jesse, I'll go to you first. You know, it's interesting. I just pulled up the quote. The quote by Joe Biden within days before the shooting is, "We're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." Can he really lower his own tone and temperature?
He won't, because that's all the Democrats have. They have this demonization strategy that animates their base, that gets them fired up. They get it ratings from it. They make money fundraising from it. So if you take that, that's basically the cornerstone of the Democrats' turnout operation, which is Trump's a threat. And without the Democrats being against Trump, they don't even know what they're for. So we'll see if they're able to table that. I doubt it. I think they just need to go into a corner and sit down and think about what they've been saying. Now, we don't know if Crooks was watching Morning Joe all day and watching Politico report the bullseye comment. We don't know if he had help. We don't know if he's one of these kooks like the Reagan assassin that was trying to impress Jodie Foster. We don't know. But we do know the stories that they've been telling about this man have been toxic, and the language has been way too hot. It's the same thing the CIA does with foreign governments that they want to overthrow. They controversialize the leader. They deplatform, they drum up stupid investigations, and then they whip up this hurricane of hostility, which makes the public so crazy they think they're in imminent danger if the leader stays around. It's damaging. It should never be done inside this country.
You know, Dana, Donald Trump has indicated that for the Republican National Convention, he had, quote, a humdinger of a speech. And he said that after the shooting, he made a decision to give a whole different speech, suggesting that speech is going to be talking about unity. And this is an opportunity for President Trump to be one of the greatest presidents.
And he says in that interview, I was given a chance to help unite the country and even the world. That might not be the exact quote, but it's along those lines. And last night in Biden's speech afterward, I said, I felt like it fell short of hitting the mark. And the reason I did is because he didn't say something like, including me. In fact, last week, I said that we've been the bullseye. Now, that's a metaphor. Lots of us use metaphors. But I can see how that could be taken today. And so follow me. I will lead. I'm going to be the one who does. But because he didn't do that, Lester Holt is able to say, what about what you said? So they could have taken the sting out of it, but they decided not to do that. And just remember, it was Joe Biden who said that Romney was going to put Black Americans back in chains. It was the Jim Crow 2.0. Even last night, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweets that we have to protect the country from the fascists. So I'm not sure that the message is getting through on the left. I don't know what the end of this week will look like on that front. But yes, there is an opportunity. And I also believe that all of us use metaphors so that we can give each other a little bit of grace on that front and just say, okay, going forward, let's be a little bit more thoughtful about the language. I don't know how long that lasts, but I do appreciate the spirit of the moment.
Yes, and we'll see. And Jessica, I didn't say before, I missed arguing with you. I really did. And I'm so glad to have you back. But, Jen Psaki was demanding, this is after the attempted assassination, that Republicans change their rhetoric, their tone. And she said she's incredibly scared. Rachel Maddow, of course, has always talked about being taken off the air and being put in a camp. I mean, that's the kind of language that I'm really surprised in this moment that Jen Psaki is sticking to.
I think that everyone is concerned about what's to come next. And I've spoken to a number of Republicans, obviously, around the convention who are worried that something else may happen, right? That if it's possible that that shooter could get that close to him, that we could see something else. And it could happen to anyone of any political stripe. And I think that's where Jen Psaki's concern is coming from. I happen to think that you don't need to change the program. You could watch your words, whatever you're going to say, and there are going to be a lot of fiery speakers. Some of them are coming during the day. Obviously, the primetime speeches are going to be big, but I'm not in the business of telling Republicans what they can do with their convention. We'll lead by example of what we think our convention should look like, and the themes of the convention are the basis for the campaign. And
But Jen was demanding that the Republicans.
I know. I'm saying I don't agree with that. I think
I
think that they should be sensible and responsible about the moment, and it's a huge moment to do that. But I wanted clarity from President Biden on the bullseye comment. We'll watch the Lester Holt interview with interest. But nobody who's being an honest broker can possibly believe that the Democratic rhetoric is the problem here. So if the issue is that we're saying all the time that he's like Hitler and he's a threat to democracy, and by the way, J.D. Vance has also said that he's like Hitler, and I guess he's redeemed now. But Donald Trump sent a fundraising email just last week that said Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. And only one of these candidates has inspired people who sent pipe bombs to leading Democrats across the country, who has inspired mass shooters. Talk about firing up the base. Donald Trump has been doing that since 2016. Remember when he said the Second Amendment people could take care of it? Right, when he was talking about Hillary Clinton abolishing the Second Amendment and she'll get to appoint judges. He talked about, remember that congressman from Montana who body slammed a reporter and he said, he's my type. He retruthed or whatever it was, a video of Joe Biden hogtied. Just back in
that was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Your examples
hilarious.
are so tiny.
No, they're
We're
not.
talking about an attempted assassination that left a man dead. The shooter groomed and incentivized by a drumbeat of demonization.
You have no idea what
can
that
call people
registered Republican
You can call
was
people
groomed
Hitler all you want, but you have to ask yourself, why would you? You have a right to say whatever you want. You can say, I'm a Nazi, I'm Hitler, but the question is, why would you?
I would never.
You cannot pretend that you did not know where it would lead. Trump laughs about a picture of a hogtied Joe Biden on the back of a pickup truck. That is not demonization. That is a meme.
And saying to Second Amendment people you could take care of it about Hillary Clinton. What is that, Greg? That was his opponent. That was his political opponent.
You know, the day before the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, Joe Biden said he's even more dangerous than I've said before. He's unhinged, he's snapped, and I guess he really didn't watch the debate when he was asked if he had seen it. He's a threat to this nation. He'll win over my dead body.
You know, but you know what? I'm sure when he called Trump, he said, no hard feelings. Yeah. You know, that's how it works in politics. I say you're evil. No, but you have to understand. It's scary to think that Joe Biden would lie like that, but he has, or it's scary that he would believe this stuff. The real challenge for the party is, what do you do next? You can't do the Trump is Hitler narrative anymore because you'll be thoroughly reviled by the public. You know, you're going to need more than demonization, but you got nothing else planned. So you're going to pivot to abortion. Good luck with that. The dog, when it comes to Trump as Hitler, the dog caught the car and you realized you can't drive it. I think, you know, and you can sit here and you can say, throw all the rhetoric at Trump that you want. Everybody understands Trump. Everybody understands. He makes jokes. Your side wasn't making jokes. When you call somebody Hitler and we say, no, we're not, those two aren't the same thing.
The guy who sent pipe bombs understood the jokes.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
there were pipe bombs. There were pipe bombs that were around January 6th. I still don't know.
Scalise. I mean, come on.
I'm happy to talk about it. And Bernie Sanders came out right away and said,
"Okay, Jesse."
All right. Well, I just think you should prepare for a beautiful dictatorship, Jessica. It's going to be a 4-year dictatorship, and we're going to get everything we want. From day one.
Well, he'll probably get the Supreme Court to give him a second term. They do that.
All right. If we could only hope.
Yeah.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube
Yikes,
page.
Greg
to catch our hottest.
you don't hear him talk like that too much. It was good to hear. It was nice to hear, and I can't stand that lady. But that's life. That's how it is. God bless you all. Until next time, thank you for everything. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you. So do I. And I'm sure other people out there do too. We're not the only ones. God bless. Good